Hello everyone, welcome to the daily newspaper analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy, 10th December 2024. Displayed here are the list of articles that we will be discussing today. The first article, opposition set to submit notice for resolution to impeach Dhankar. The article is taken from the newspaper Indian Express, which is talking about the plan of the opposition to submit notice for impeaching Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar. So in this background, we will be discussing the power, the position, the functions of the Vice President of India and what are the grounds for removing and what are the procedures for removing the Vice President of India. And in the next topic, Prime Minister launches LIC's Bima Sakhi Yojana. This article is taken from the newspaper The Hindu, which is talking about a social welfare scheme launched by LIC, that is Life Insurance Corporation of India. And in this topic, we will be discussing how this LIC scheme will ensure women empowerment, financial inclusion, and enhances the health security. And the next article, retail inflation for farm workers in the month of October. This article is talking about the fall of retail inflation for the farm workers and the rural laborers. And in this topic, we will be discussing the inflation, which is very important for the UPSC prelims under economy. And this article is taken from the newspaper The Hindu. And the fourth article, calm influence, Revenue Secretary Sanjay Malhotra picked as next RBI Governor. This article is taken from the newspaper Indian Express, and in this article it is talking about the appointment of the new RBI Governor Sri Sanjay Malhotra. He was an IAS officer from 99 batch, and he is going to be the next governor of RBI. In this topic, we will be discussing the powers, functions, eligibility of the governor of RBI, and then we will be also having a prelims practice question in every topic. So without much delay, let's get into the discussion with the first article. Opposition set to submit notice for resolution to impeach Dhankar. This article is taken from the newspaper Indian Express, which is talking about a plan of the opposition alliance to submit a notice for resolution to impeach the Vice President of India or the Chairman of Rajya Sabha, Sri Jagdeep Dhankar. In this background, we are going to discuss what are the functions of Vice President of India or the Chairman of Rajya Sabha, and what are the constitutional provisions related to the Chairman of Rajya Sabha, and then we are also going to see the removal procedure for the Vice President or the Rajya Sabha Chairman. Without much delay, let's get into the discussion. First, we will start with the basic question: what is or who is this Chairman of Rajya Sabha? The Chairman of Rajya Sabha is a constitutional office held by the Vice President of India under Article 64 of the Indian Constitution. That means the Vice President of India shall be the ex officio Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Coming to the constitutional provisions related to the Chairman of Rajya Sabha, first we have the Article 63 of the Indian Constitution, which talks about there shall be a Vice President of India. And Article 64, it is talking about that the Vice President of India shall be the ex officio Chairman of Rajya Sabha. And then we have Article 89, which is talking about the offices of the Chairman of Rajya Sabha and the Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha. And then we have Article 67, Clause B. It is a very important article for today's topic, that is, it is talking about the removal of Vice President of India. Coming to the election of the Vice President or the Chairman of Rajya Sabha, first we are going to see the Electoral College. The Electoral College consists of members from both houses of the parliament. That means the members from the state legislative assembly are not participating in the election of Vice President of India, but they are participating in the election of President of India, but they are not participating for the election of Vice President of India. And what kind of system that we are using to elect the Vice President of India? We are following an voting system called proportional representation by the means of single transferable vote system. How this system works, and before that you have to understand that this concept or the system was actually adopted from Irish Constitution. And how the system works: see, there will be one post or one vacancy for the post of Vice President of India, and imagine that 3 candidates are standing for or contesting for the election. And I already told you the Electoral College for this election will only have the members from Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, and therefore a person has to secure a particular quota of votes to be elected as the Vice President of India. How we will fix that quota? For example, imagine that at present in Lok Sabha we have 543 members, and in the Rajya Sabha we have 237 members. So total is 780 members, right? So we will be using an equation to set the quota of votes to be to be elected as the Vice President of India. In this case, the equation is total valid votes divided by 2 plus 1. That means 780 divided by 2 plus 1. That is a person has to secure. That means it is equal to 391 votes. That means a candidate has to secure this 391 votes to get elected as the Vice President of India. And according to this proportional representation system, we know that the voters have preferences. If there are three candidates, then a voter will be having three preferences. So he can give, he can rank the candidates according to his preferences. So here we have candidate A, B, and C. So imagine that after the first round, candidate A got 350 votes, while candidate B got 300 votes and candidate C got only 130 votes. That means candidate C got 130 first preferences, candidate B got 300 first preferences, and candidate C got 350 first preferences. So total number of votes is just 780 votes, right? And in that votes, a person or a candidate has to secure 391 votes to be elected as the Vice President of India. So what happens is, after the first round, we will eliminate the candidate C, and then we will check the second preferences the voters casted for this in out of this 130 votes. So out of this 130 votes, how many second preferences are there? So then we will distribute the second preferences to the candidate between candidate A and candidate B. For example, after that, candidate B got 100 second preferences, while candidate A got only 30 second preferences. So here the total number of votes for the candidate B will be 400, while the total number of votes for candidate A will be just 380. So here the winner is candidate B. He will be elected as the Vice President of India. So this is how the proportional representation by the means of single transferable vote system is working. And we are following secret ballot system, which means that the voter has full privacy. They don't have to disclose about their vote. And coming to the role and function of the chairman of Rajya Sabha, remember that he is not the member of either houses of the parliament, but he performs certain legislative functions in the upper house of the parliament. That is, he presides the Rajya Sabha. That means he will ensure that proper order and decorum is maintained in every session happening in the house, and he can cast a vote in case of a tie, and he can also refer bills to various parliamentary committees for further examination. And he also performs certain administrative and procedural functions, which includes the interpretation of laws and the parliamentary conventions, maintain disciplines in the house, and decides a disqualification of the elected members under the 10th schedule, and that is under the anti-defection law. And also he communicates the procedures happening in the house with the President of India if the President of India asks for clarification. And other functions performed by the Rajya Sabha chairman are adjourning or suspending the proceedings of the house if there is any disorder or any disturbance in the house. And he also represents the Rajya Sabha in ceremonial functions. And coming to the important part related to today's news article, that is the removal of the chairman. To remove the chairman of Rajya Sabha, it is not an easy process. You have to go through various stages. First, the opposition or the party which is planning for this non-conference motion, first they have to submit a notice 14 days prior to the introduction or initiation of the non-conference motion. And another thing is that notice should be signed by at least 14 members in the house. And after that, the resolution will be put on voting, and that voting has to get absolute majority in Rajya Sabha, and then the resolution will be moved to the Lok Sabha. There also the resolution needs absolute majority, not simple majority. So what is the difference between absolute majority and simple majority? For example, imagine that there's 100 members. One side, this 45 members voted for the resolution, while 40 members voted against the resolution. Here in this case, if the resolution is passing, then it is based on simple majority. But in the case of absolute majority, the resolution needs at least 51% of vote, or the 51 votes to be passed, whatever the attendance is. Even if the attendance, even if the members are not present, for example, if there are 100 seats but the members are not present, then also it needs 51 votes to be passed. So this is the difference between simple majority and absolute majority. Like that, so in both houses, the resolution should get absolute majority. Then only we can impeach the Vice President of India. And what are the grounds for the removal of the Vice President of India? According to the Constitution, it is simply mentioned in one line, that is violation of the Constitution. So why the constitution does not talk about any other further explanation. It does not give any further explanation regarding the removal of the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. So he can be impeached if he violates the principles of the constitution or if there is any proved misconduct or incapacity. And what are the procedures for the removal of the vice president of or the chairman of Rajya Sabha? Just like I mentioned, the resolution first will be introduced in Rajya Sabha with a prior notice of 14 days, and 14 members has to sign the notice. After the notice period, the non-confidence motion, the resolution will be passed in the House, and the resolution has to get absolute majority. After that, the resolution will be moved to Lok Sabha. There also it needs to get absolute majority, and then only we can impeach the vice president of India. So it is not an easy task. So in this topic, we discussed who is chairman of Rajya Sabha, what are the constitutional provisions related to the chairman of Rajya Sabha, what are his functions, and then we discussed how to remove or what is the procedure for removing the vice president of India. So based on this understanding, try to answer this prelims practice question. The question is, with reference to the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, consider the following statements. Statement 1, the chairman is elected by the members of Rajya Sabha. Statement 2, the chairman can vote only in case of a tie. And statement 3, a resolution to remove the chairman requires a simple majority in both houses. So from our discussion itself, we know that statement 1 and 2 both are incorrect. The correct answer is option B, 2 only, because the chairman of Rajya Sabha, that is the vice president, is elected by both members of both houses of the parliament. So if you see a statement like this, it will be wrong. And then for removing or impeaching the vice president, we don't need simple majority, we need absolute majority, that too in both houses. Then only we can remove or impeach the vice president of India. So let's check the correct answer. Yes, the correct answer is option B, 2 only. So now it's time to move to the next article. Moving on to the next article from the newspaper The Hindu. Prime Minister launches LIC's Bima Sakhi Yojana. This article is talking about a new social security scheme launched and implemented by the Life Insurance Corporation of India. Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi inaugurated the scheme in Panipat, Haryana at the Horticulture University. So in this background, let us discuss more about the scheme from prelims point of view. So Bima Sakhi Yojana, this is a scheme introduced this year, and it is launched and implemented by the Life Insurance Corporation of India, and it is inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and the scheme is working towards two important objectives. First one is women empowerment, and second one is insurance coverage in rural and semi-urban area, or the expansion of the insurance coverage in the rural and semi-urban area. Coming to the targeted audience and the eligibility to apply for the scheme. So the scheme is targeting for an enrollment of 1 lakh women in 12 months and 2 lakh women in 3 years. And the scheme is working towards to ensure that there will be at least one Bima Sakhi, that is insurance worker, in every panchayat in India. That means any women between the age of 18 and 17 with a minimum qualification of 10th standard can apply for the scheme. So they will be getting a stipend every year for the 3 years, and they will be trained by the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India, and after they reaches a particular qualification, after a particular period of training, they can write the LIC exam and they can become a permanent LIC employee. So this provides income to the women, particularly from the rural and semi-urban area. So we can see that the scheme is working towards financial inclusion, women empowerment, and rural development at the same time. Social security, including health. So like I mentioned, the eligibility, any women between the age of 18 and 70 can apply for the scheme, and the minimum qualification is 10th standard. And coming to the major objectives of the Bima Sakhi Yojana, first one is economic empowerment, that is providing a sustainable income to the women from rural and semi-urban area and creating opportunities for them. Like I mentioned, they will be once they apply for this insurance policy, they will be getting a stipend every year. So in the first year they will be getting 7,000 rupees, and the second year they will be getting 6,000 rupees, and the third year they will be getting a stipend of 5,000 rupees. And after that, after a particular period of training, they can write the LIC exam and they can become a permanent LIC insurance worker. And the next focus is creating or empowering the women LIC agents. Like I mentioned, after the training, they can write the LIC exam and they can become permanent LIC employees. And expanding the insurance coverage. So here it is working towards the financial inclusion too. That is expanding the insurance coverage to underserved areas and boosting the insurance penetration in India. And we know that insurance is very important these days because our life is uncertain. We don't know what will happen tomorrow, and if you apply for insurance, or if you get insurance, definitely it will ensure the social security not only for you, for your entire family. So therefore, but the rural areas, due to various reasons, for example, infrastructural backwardness, lack of financial literacy, there is a hesitancy in the rural area and the semi-urban area to apply for insurance, and this is the biggest barrier to ensure maximum coverage of the insurance policy. But through this Bima Sakhi Yojana, and the scheme is working towards to ensure in every panchayat there will be one Bima Sakhi worker. So it is giving that much priority of insurance coverage in the rural and the semi-urban area. And the next is social security. That is making affordable insurance policies suitable for every household in rural and the semi-urban area, and strengthening the social fabric through financial inclusion. For example, imagine that you took an insurance policy and you have to pay 5,000 rupees per month. It will not be affordable to you, even though you will be getting a very good security or protection under that scheme. It is not affordable for everyone. So here the Bima Sakhi Yojana is planning to implement affordable insurance policies. That means per month a person, according to his income or her income, they can apply and they can join the scheme. And the next focus objective of the scheme is capacity building. That means, like I said, that means once the women apply for the scheme, they will be getting training from the IRDAI, that is Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India, and they will be getting stipend every year. In the first year they will be getting 7,000 rupees, followed by that in the second year they will be getting 6,000 rupees, and later they will be getting 5,000 rupees. So after particular training, they can apply for the LIC exam and can become permanent employees. And addition to that, they can also get a commission for every target they are meeting. For example, if an LIC agent adds 1% to that scheme, then he or she can get commission from that that addition. So here also the women who is working as the LIC agent are eligible to get commission for their addition to the scheme. And next is skill development. Like I mentioned, IRDA, they will be providing the skills required. They will be providing training on skills required for LIC agent, and career progression opportunities. There are many other opportunities available in the insurance market or in the same institutions, so women can access that too. So coming to the significance of the Bima Sakhi Yojana, first major significance, like I mentioned, it is playing an important role in women's empowerment. For example, enhancing the role of women's participation in the workforce and promoting financial independence for the women, especially to the women from rural and semi-urban background. And next is insurance penetration. That means the scheme is working towards to ensure that there will be one Bima Sakhi worker in every panchayat, and therefore it will be expanding the insurance coverage even to the underserved areas in the country. And then rural development, for example, encouraging the financial literacy in the rural area and generation of income in the rural area. For example, they can become a permanent LIC employee, so that will be giving a guaranteed job to the workers or the people who got trained in the Bima Sakhi Yojana. And it is also supporting several other national and international goals. For example, the scheme is aligned with the principles of schemes like Ayushman Bharat and Jan Dhan Yojana. We know that Ayushman Bharat is also working towards to ensure the universal health coverage, and Jan Dhan Yojana, it is working towards strengthening the financial inclusion, which is focusing on ensuring one bank account in every household. So similar like that, Bima Sakhi Yojana is also working towards both goals. For example, they are working towards universal health coverage through insurance penetration. At the same time, they are also working towards financial inclusion through empowering the women. And it is also aligning with certain principles of SDG goals. For example, goal number 8 and 10, both talking about the inclusive development and economic growth. So in this way, Bima Sakhi Yojana plays an important role in ensuring socio-economic welfare in the nation. So in this topic, we discussed the social welfare scheme Bima Sakhi Yojana, right? So based on our understanding, try to answer this prelims practice question. The question is, which national goals does the Bima Sakhi Yojana align with? 1. Gender equality. 2. Financial inclusion. 3. Infrastructure development. And 4. Skill development. The answer is option C, 1, 2 and 4. It is not talking about the infrastructure development directly. It is focusing on gender equality through empowering women. At the same time, it is focusing on financial inclusion through expanding the insurance coverage. At the same time, it is also focusing on skill development because they are providing skill training to the women through the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. So the answer is option C, 1, 2 and 4 only. So with this, we will move to the next article. Coming to the next article taken from the newspaper The Hindu, which is talking about a fall of retail inflation for farm workers and rural laborers. So in this background, we are going to discuss more about the inflation from prelims point of view, and remember that inflation is very important topic for economics in prelims, because if you analyze the paper, the previous year question papers of the prelims, you can see that in the year 2021, majority of the economics questions were from this topic, inflation. And that is because in the 2020, the world experienced inflation due to the pandemic outbreak. So in this background, let us discuss more about the inflation. So first we'll start with the basic question, what is mean by inflation? Inflation can be simply defined as a constant rise in the general price level, which will ultimately lead to the gradual loss of purchasing power of the consumers over a period of time. And in India, we have two index to measure the inflation. The first one is the consumer price index and second one is the wholesale price index. The consumer price index will give more accurate data about the inflation because it includes, the consumer price index will measure the change in price which are of commodities which are typically purchased by the household. Therefore, it gives more accurate data how the inflation is affecting the daily life of the common people. And in India, the base year for calculating the consumer price index is 2012, and the next is wholesale price index. Wholesale price index is another index which is used to measure the change in price of commodities before reaching the market. And the base year for calculating the wholesale price index is 2011-12. And who measures this inflation in India? In the case of consumer price index, it is measured by the National Statistical Office working under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and the wholesale price index is measured by the Office of Economic Advisor under the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. So why CPI, that is Consumer Price Index, is the benchmark for inflation targeting? Like I said, it reflects the retail prices paid by the consumer, so it will give more accurate how the inflation is creating strain in the common life. Therefore, that's why it is giving accurate representation of the cost of living. So this is the reason why we are using CPI as the benchmark for targeting inflation. And related to the inflation, we have another concept, that is headline inflation. Headline inflation means it measures the total inflation in an economy, including the volatile commodities like food, fuel, and other essential commodities. And we don't have a particular index to represent this headline inflation. We are deriving this headline inflation from the percentage of year-on-year percentage of change in the CPI and WPI. And what is the purpose of this? Assessing the headline inflation. It helps us to understand the short-term impact of inflation in the economy. At the same time, it reflects the impact of the inflation in the retail consumers, and it is very suitable to formulating policies of especially medium to long-term monetary policy targeting the inflation. Moving on, the next concept is the core inflation. So it measures the inflation in the economy excluding the volatile items like food and fuel. And here also we don't have a particular index to show this core inflation. It is derived from consumer price index and wholesale price index only. And how we will calculate this core inflation? The core inflation will be calculated from the headline inflation excluding the food and fuel inflation. That means if we take the headline inflation, and from the headline inflation we will be removing the inflation cost due to the food and fuel. So then we will be getting the core inflation. So what is the purpose of measuring this core inflation? It shows the country's economic status and the persisting inflationary pressure on the economy. And the next, it is suitable for short-term monetary policy because it excludes the temporary price shocks caused due to the volatile items. So this is the whole concept of core inflation. And regarding the prelims, you have to also note certain terms like stagflation, at the same time shrinkflation. So this can be expected in the UPSC. This kind of terms can be expected in the UPSC prelims. For example, stagflation in the means the economy will be suffering from high inflation, at the same time unemployment. So the economy will be in a total stagnation. That's why we are using the term stagnation. Stagnation means inflation plus unemployment. And there is another concept related to the price change, that is the shrinkflation. Recently we came across this term, right? Shrinkflation means it is a measure, it's a measure adopted by the producers to manage the the rising price. So according to the in the shrinkflation, the quantity of the commodities you will be that you are purchasing will be less, while the price for that commodity will remain constant or will be increasing. So that is what it is meant by shrinkflation. So note this concept, it will be very useful in your prelims, because these kind of concepts can be asked in prelims. So in this topic we discussed about inflation, and based on our understanding try to answer this prelims practice question. Which of the following best describes headline inflation? Option A, it measures the inflation rate excluding food and fuel. It is core inflation, right? It is core inflation. So the statement 1 is wrong, option A is wrong. And B, it includes the overall inflation in the economy, including all goods and services. And C, it only includes the prices of the essential commodities. And option D, it measures the inflation rate of the non-essential luxury items. So from this we can easily catch the answer. The answer is option B, that is it includes the overall inflation in the economy, including all goods and services. Anyway, let's check the answer. Yes, this is the best describing statement for headline inflation. So with this, we will move to the next article. Calm influence, Revenue Secretary Sanjay Malhotra picked as next RBI Governor. The article is taken from the newspaper Indian Express, which is talking about the appointment of new RBI Governor. Sanjay Malhotra, a 99 IAS officer, currently served as the Revenue Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, has been appointed as the next Governor of Reserve Bank of India, succeeding Shaktikant Das. So in this background, we are going to discuss more about the RBI Governor, his position, his powers, his the eligibility, and his term from the prelims point of view. Coming to the position of RBI Governor, it is a statutory authority governed under the RBI Act 1934. That means it is a statutory body, means there is no mention about the RBI Governor in the Constitution of India, and he derives the authority from the Section 7 of the RBI Act 1934 and responsible for overseeing the statutory functions of Reserve Bank of India. And the eligibility criteria to be an RBI Governor, there is no specific qualifications or age limit for becoming an RBI Governor, but typically the candidates are selected or appointed from economists, IAS officers, and financial experts. Regarding the appointment process of the RBI Governor, the Ministry of Finance is responsible for shortlisting the candidates based on their experience and eligibility, but the appointment will be done by the appointment committee of cabinet headed by the Prime Minister. And coming to the reappointment and the term, there is no restrictions on reappointment as per the RBI Act 1934. And the standard term for an RBI Governor is usually 3 years, but it can be extended or renewed. For example, Bimal Jalan, he served as the RBI Governor from 1997 to 2003, nearly 6 years. So there is no such strict restrictions regarding the term of RBI Governor. Coming to the key responsibilities of RBI Governor, currency issues, that is, first is currency issuance, supervising the money supply in the economy, and banking supervision is the next duty, that is regulating the banks and non-banking financial institutions in India, and the foreign exchange management, that is managing the external trade and the balance of payment according to the FEMA, that is Foreign Exchange Management Act. And the next is financial stability. RBI often act as the custodian of the economy during the time of financial crisis or financial instability, because they are responsible for controlling the inflation in the economy and regulating the money supply in the economy to make sure that the economy is stable. And then RBI also acts as government's banker. For example, it manages the public debts and advises the government on financial matters. So here you have to note that the RBI will be advising the government on financial matters. That means RBI has no final say in that. The government will decide. The government has upper hand. Why? Because government is more responsible to the people than the RBI. And then conducting research to assist the for policy formulation, and it also plays developmental role, for example promoting financial inclusion and digital banking initiatives. So in this topic we discussed the role of RBI governor and various aspects related to his power and his term, appointment, eligibility and all. So based on our understanding, try to answer this prelims practice question. The question is, consider the following statements regarding the RBI, regarding the Governor of Reserve Bank of India. Statement 1, the RBI Governor is appointed by the President of India. Statement 2, the term of the RBI Governor is fixed for 5 years. Statement 3, the RBI Governor is responsible for implementing monetary policy in India. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? Option A, 1 only, option B, 2 and 3 only, option C, 3 only, and option D, 1, 2 and 3. See, the correct answer is option C, 3 only. He is not appointed by the President of India. He is appointed by the Prime Minister, and after the Ministry of Finance is responsible for shortlisting the candidates based on their experience and their knowledge. So after that, the appointment committee of the cabinet will decide the rest, but the appointment will be made by the Prime Minister. And the statement 2 is also wrong. There is no such fixed term for RBI governor, first of all, and usual standard is 3 years, but it can be extended or renewed. Therefore the statement 2 also wrong. The answer is statement 3. It is right. So the correct option is option C, 3 only. Let's check the answer. Yes, the answer is option C, 3 only. With this, we are coming to the conclusion for today's newspaper analysis. If you like the video, hit the like button, give your feedbacks as comments, and share this content with your friends. And before leaving this channel, don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time update from Shankar IAS Academy. Thank you. Have a nice day.